Today I've decided that I would like to share with you my journey through RSD. It all started in 2001. I was out shopping in Norwich with my mum, Nan and my best friend when I slipped on the pavement. I was taken to hospital where I had some x-rays, and I was then told that I had broken my ankle in 3 places. I was then told that I needed surgery and I had to stay in hospital for the week. The doctor was quite concerned because he said that he couldn't understand how I'd managed to break my ankle in 3 places and have such a bad break just from falling over. So it was like question time, asking me things, asking mum things to see whether we came up with the same answers. Anyway, so yeah, I stayed in hospital for the week and I had my surgery. A week later I was then at home and I was in a plaster cast for 6 weeks. After this time I had it removed and I went back to see the consultant, who got me out of my wheelchair and told me to take my first few steps after 6 weeks. I found this really difficult. I was in so much pain. I could hardly put one foot in front of the other. He looked really puzzled and said that I needed some physio to get me up and walking again properly and to get more movement back. I started physio, which I had for 2 years. I started to make some progress and got a little bit of movement back, but not much, and I still needed crutches to walk any distance. I went back and saw my consultant. We waited in the waiting room for 5 hours. I had an x-ray. I went in and saw him, and there we sat. He came in, he took one look at me and said, "Right, we need to remove the plates and pins. I think they're causing the pain." He was in with me for about 2 seconds, and I just couldn't believe we had to wait so long just for that. You know, I felt absolute crap about that. Anyway, in 2002 I went back to the hospital and had all the plates and pins removed, and I was still in agony and my legs started to burn. My foot was always freezing cold. My rest of my body was always really hot. So it was a big temperature difference. I also started to get colour change. My legs started to go purplish bluey colour, and around my scar is now permanently a reddish colour. I went back and saw my GP, who referred me to a pain specialist, which is where I was diagnosed with RSD. I was given some painkillers and told to go on with it really, and that I'd get an appointment through in a few weeks to see how I was getting on. I went back and told how I was getting on, and that was when they diagnosed me with RSD. I was then referred for more physio and also for hydrotherapy, which I had for another 2 to 3 years. In 2005 I had pulse radio frequency done on my ankle. This didn't really help. It was such a painful procedure, so if you have to have it done, I'll warn you now, it is very painful. In February 2006 I had my first nerve block. This again didn't help and again was very painful. I was then sent to see a pain psychologist, who basically told me different ways to cope with the pain. She was okay, quite helpful I suppose, but you're told the same things really, just get on with it, deal with it, no real answers. In June and July 2006 I had more ongoing blocks, which again they didn't help, but they still kept trying them, in a bid that they would eventually work. I was then sent to a pain management seminar, which I went to for 6 weeks. That was the first time I actually got to talk to people who had the same condition as me, and I actually found it really helpful knowing that I wasn't alone, because I'd only ever talked to people on the internet and everybody was from America, and I'd never actually spoken to anybody from the UK who had the same condition. So that was really good. In 2007 I was referred to the orthopaedics department. I had some more x-rays done and an MRI. I was then told that I've got a big hole in my ankle from where I broke it, which hasn't healed properly, which is now filled with water, which is why my ankle is so swollen. I've also got an excess bit of bone that's grown on the front of my foot, which is why I look so disfigured. And they were going to do an operation to remove the fluid and to remove the bone, but they decided that could make my RSD worse. I was also told from the MRI that I've also got arthritis in my right leg, which I wasn't too impressed about. Getting tongue tied now, my memory's terrible, as I'm sure yours is with this condition. In 2008 I had a lidocaine infusion, which I actually felt some benefits from. They basically hook you up to a drip full of lidocaine, which is an anaesthetic, and you have to lay there for half an hour, and that's basically it. And I did have some benefit for about 2-3 hours afterwards, which I thought was absolutely amazing, but unfortunately after that all the pain came back. But because I had some benefit, they decided that they would give me some lidocaine patches, which you'd have to wear for 12 hours a day. So I wore these for a few months, but these didn't really help, so I've just stopped them. You know, really being in all this pain affects your mental state and also your physical state. I have trouble with walking, with movement, doing general day-to-day activities which I never used to have trouble doing. You know, it's not a nice condition. I have to use crutches to walk any distance, or on my really bad days use a wheelchair, which I don't like doing because I don't want to give in to this. But you know, I have to if I want to. You know, if I want to go out and I want to do some things that I used to do, then I have to use the crutches. The pain clinic have said that there's nothing more they can really do for me now. They've tried all the treatments that they know about. This condition isn't well known in the UK. I'd obviously get better treatment if I was in America, although I have heard from my friends that, you know, they're struggling with treatment as well, but they have tried a lot more things than what we have here. You know, the doctors don't seem to know anything, so you know, it'd be good, you know, for the doctors to read up on it and really be able to help us more. Anyway, that's really my story. Thanks for listening.